This project involves an information and communication technology focus for the English language teaching classroom. I teach Norwegian as a second language and have not taught English for the last 5 years. Nevertheless, I am basing these lessons on my experience as a language teacher and I can see similarities. Many aspects are easily transferable to other language learning contexts with a little adjustment. For this project, I have chosen an imaginative fourth grade class with 10-year-olds. I have planned an ICT lesson plan suitable for the level which I will probably teach in the future. Since my ICT project involves teaching my students the possibilities in Book Creator, I find it only natural that I also will use Book Creator, both for the students and also here in my Nordic Masters multimedia presentation. The assignment and the students' activity. The students will in pairs write about a famous person from an English-speaking country. The topics will be intercultural literacy and multimedia literacy. The aim is to learn about English-speaking countries and to learn how to use Book Creator. The level is elementary plus, and the time will be 270 minutes. In fourth grade, they have 2 English lessons, totaling 90 minutes a week. So this project will probably last for 3 weeks. The first lesson I will explain the project and show model texts. The following 3 lessons they will be working in pairs to gather information and finish the tasks. And the last 2 lessons will be used for presentations for the class. In the classroom. These slides show how I would have presented the tasks for my students. I have chosen to present the students' Book Creator test by using Book Creator myself and combining the same components as they will need to picture, text and sound in order to show them the possibilities. To narrow the task, I give them a form with some facts that they will need to fill in. In my presentation of the task, I have used difficult words like, for example, capital and inhabitants. But when I click on the speaker button, it will all be explained. They need to include some facts that I have listed for them, pictures of a flag and the celebrity, sound when reading the text aloud, and they can add extra information. 2 examples are shown as model text, so they can see what I expect them to accomplish and make the task a bit easier and clearer. At the end of the task presentation, they are told which group they are in using both text and sound. The countries are decided for them, but they will choose between 2 listed famous persons from each country. The pairs are going to discuss and choose which one of them they would like to learn more about and write about. When clicking on the speaker button, they can get some facts of the 2 celebrities, so it would be easier for them to pick. The language areas covered are vocabulary, countries, culture and languages, grammar, present simple tense, documents, online worksheets. In this task, the students will read natural English online when collecting the necessary information. Corpora. The functions are stating facts and describing an English-speaking country and a famous person from that country. The skills covered are writing when searching for information and writing the presentation, reading when finding information online, speaking when adding sound in the presentation, and listening when listening to the recorded sound and correcting it until they are satisfied with the result. The resources needed are one internet-enabled teacher iPad and an interactive whiteboard, and online iPads with cameras and recording. We have 1 per student, but it could be just 1 per group. So my school is a high-tech school where all the 4th graders have 1 iPad each. The iPads are used every day and are an integral part of every lesson, and so they are treated as secondary to learning itself. I have chosen to use the iPad because it's a common belief that young learners are more technologically adept than older ones since they are born into a technological era and hence they are called digital natives. However, the notion of a digital-able generation has proven to be a myth. What is more important than age are factors like socioeconomic status, education level, location, gender, and interests. Nevertheless, the students often need guidance for using technology for educational purposes and not only entertainment. My digital tool of choice is Book Creator. This app is easy to use, edit, and share, and the results are nice books or videos. It is possible to combine pictures, text, video, speech, music, and hyperlinks. So this is a productive app with creativity. The text in a book can be read aloud with synthetic speech. So if you click the Read to Me button, if a student struggles with writing, he or she can dictate and talk write. Since it is possible to talk to the book and it will write for you, it makes it easier for students who struggle with writing to show their knowledge. Their lack of writing skills do not limit them. The book can be saved as an iBook, video, PDF, sent to an email, or printed. Some obstacles in Book Creator are there is no spelling correction in Book Creator and no frames, so you can be sure that the text is located on the same place in each page. Every iPad at my school have an extra keyboard. However, we have only 2 keyboard chargers in the whole school, so the students need to use the touch screen. So this makes it difficult, or at least time-consuming, to produce long texts on the iPad. The curriculum. The English curriculum in Norway states that after the 4th grade, the students will know how to use digital tools to receive information and experiment with creating texts. The students will give some examples of English-speaking countries and some well-known people from those countries. Next year, there will be a new curriculum in Norway. In the English part, it says that after the 4th grade, the students should be able to read and produce text to express opinions and interests, which describe, tell, and ask. In the new curriculum, there will be more emphasis on the importance of English as a lingua franca and as a means of communication between people who do not have English as a first language. It will still be important to use digital tools and as support in one's own language learning. The students will communicate and meet English texts. Assessment. The students will present their task by exporting their Book Creator books as video, then showing it on the whiteboard in front of the class while standing beside it. First of all, I would assess if all the criteria were present. Have they filled in the form with the facts I have listed? Do they have a picture of the country's flag and of the celebrity? Have they recorded themselves when reading the text aloud? Second, I would assess their collaboration and efforts during the project. Third, have they used their own words or have they just copied? If this would be the first time with Book Creator in English, I would not have corrected or assessed spelling or grammar mistakes. Fourth, I would look at the technology aspect. How have they solved their layout or design? Is the information they have searched for correct? Framework of digital literacies. Digital literacy is one of 8 core competencies for lifelong learning, as defined by the European Union. 3 main ways in which digital literacy may be incorporated are coursebook-driven, topic-driven, or digital literacy-driven. I will place myself as mostly topic-driven in my daily work. However, for this assignment, I needed to be more digital literacy-driven. Some major literacies our students need to acquire to become digital literate, according to Pegram, are loosely grouped under 4 focus points: language, information, connections, and design or redesign. Those 4 points might blend into each other in some areas, but they will show key areas in the field of digital literacies. Here, the framework of digital literacies will be presented in connections to my lesson plan and what literacies my students will be taught. The first focus is language. Print literacy. Most digital communication still involves written language, and the students will explore print literacy online when searching the web for information. Hypertext literacy. The students need to learn how to navigate the internet, when to click on links to go beyond the current text, and when to overlook them. Multimedia literacy. The ability to effectively interpret and create text in multiple media using images, sounds, and videos. And that is the exact thing my students are going to learn in Book Creator. Mobile literacy. This has to do with learning with mobile devices and sensitizing the students to the differences between web-based and app-based digital experiences. The second focus is information. Search literacy. Students often need to start their online activities by searching for the information or materials they require. There can be difficulties in choosing the most appropriate keywords for a search. The Norwegian Reading Center states that when students are asked to just find information on the internet, they will probably find too much information, use too much time, often start to read other things, perhaps because of hyperlinks and that they're losing navigation. And the online text can be too difficult, so they will be uncritically copied and pasted into their own documents, which leads to no learning. My students will be given some keywords for their searches, some preferred websites and hyperlinks, and optional search engines. In Google Advanced Search, I can show the students how they can filter their image search results to include only images that can be reused and exclude images with copyright. Flickr CC can also be used for royalty-free pictures from Shutterstock. The key is to find a balance between giving them the websites and teaching them to find correct information themselves. Information literacy, the ability to evaluate documents and showing critical evaluation. They need to ask critical questions about the information found online, comparing it to their existing knowledge, and find multiple sources of information if their previous knowledge is inadequate. An ongoing discussion is, can we trust Wikipedia? One major review of Wikipedia showed that there were 4 errors per article in Wikipedia compared to 3 errors per article in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Wikipedia is far more comprehensive and up-to-date, so it might in some cases actually be more accurate. The third focus is connections. My lesson plan covers only intercultural literacy, which is the ability to interpret documents from a range of contexts, as well as to effectively communicate and interact with persons from other countries. Cross-cultural interactions can lead to confusions and misunderstandings, and at worst, reinforcements of stereotypes. The fourth focus, design or redesign, is not covered in this lesson plan. Theory and some models. TPAC. TPAC is a well-known framework created by Misha and Kohler in 2006. The initials spell out technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. The TPAC shows that the teachers remain content and pedagogical experts, and that technology adds a dimension which complements rather than replace or supersede the teacher's existing knowledge and skills. So the traditional content and pedagogical knowledge are only enhanced by technological knowledge. The Summer Model. The Summer Model by Pointedera shows and explains how technology is incorporated inside the classroom. Does technology transform students' learning? Or are the iPads only used as a really expensive digital substitute for pen and paper? The Summer Model shows the connection between pedagogy and technology. This model has 4 different layers, the first 2 focusing on enhancing the learning task, while the 2 next ones focus on actual transformation. In the lower level enhancement, we see substitution. This adds little and give no change. For example, writing on the computer instead of handwriting. We also see augmentation, where there are word processing tools like spell checkers. Traditional content and pedagogical knowledge are enhanced by technological knowledge. Still, I would argue that this lesson plan belongs to another level, since this task could not be solved by pen and paper. They need to find information online on various sites and combine text, pictures, and sound in a multimedia presentation. Hence, the task is transformed and significantly reshaped. When embedding multimedia artifacts, it leads to modification. The final and greatest transformation is likely to occur when using technology which involves a redefinition, which allows for a completely new task previously inconceivable. It would be collaborative process writing. It could be. At my school, we use OneNote where this is a possibility. However, since this ICT project is made with 4th graders in mind, I would steer away from this aspect from now. since they are not familiar with collaborative writing in OneNote yet. Call by Bax. Watchhour was the first one who wrote about the 3 stages of call, computer-assisted language learning. Since Bax disagrees with some aspects of that model, and I mostly agree with Bax, I've chosen to show Bax's call model. The 3 stages are restricted call, open call, and integrated call. Bax does not limit his stages to a chronological timeline. However, he states that the call has not yet reached the integrated stage. Keep in mind, Bax wrote this in 2002. I will argue why I believe my teaching has reached this stage in some respects 17 years later. The iPads are a part of every lesson in my classroom, so I guess my teaching belongs in stage 7 normalization in call. Since the technology is so integrated, it becomes invisible and normalized. However, what type of task I give the learners and their activities vary between open and integrated call. References. Here I have listed all of my references. Where I've used different websites, I have created links to navigate you to those sites. Since I have exported my book as a video, the links will not be possible to use now, only in Book Creator.